Hello there, everybody. How are you today? I hope that you're doing well and feeling good and everything. I know I am, and I'm certainly glad to be here with you today. Thank you so much for tuning in to me once again. I am so appreciative, and I would like to welcome you to another episode of TJ's Topics. So glad to be with you. And of course, you know who I am. I'm TJ. And I tell you, it feels so good to be able to come back on once again to have a little short conversation with you and to learn more about things that you may be concerned about in your life. Because we all have things going on in our lives that concern us and they may be big or they may be small or whatever. Some things may be complicated and then others may be simple. But no matter what they are, they're important to us. And I want you to know that you are important to me. And without you, there would be absolutely no reason for me to take time out to sit down and make these videos. I find such pleasure in doing this, and it's something that I truly enjoy. And you are the reason for all that. So I thank you. I really do. I sincerely appreciate it. Now, there is a particular topic that I would like to discuss on today, and it's one that I am very well familiar with. It's something that I have spent many years thinking about and doing research on and studying and analyzing. And and I'm sure that many of you out there are quite familiar with the aspect of these things as well that we're going to discuss. And so my topic is dreams, premonitions, and precognitions. Once again, dreams, premonitions, and precognitions. And I want to ask you something right quick. Do you or anyone you know have precognitive abilities? Or have you paid attention to any of your dreams lately and tried to see exactly what they mean? Have you had recurring dreams? And do you notice a pattern in them? Like there's a certain event that keeps taking place or something similar, and I mean, have you had any dreams to be fulfilled? Have you seen anything come to pass that you've dreamt about? And what about premonitions? Have you had any of those? I've had a total of 4 premonitions myself, and 2 of them have already come to pass. And there are 2 that I feel are pending right now. And I don't want to go into too much detail about them because, as with the previous 2 that I've already had, I didn't mention anything about them to anybody until after I saw them take place and after everything happened. Then I discussed them. So I'm going to treat these other 2 the same way, and I'm not going to open my mouth about them until I see exactly what happens, if anything happens. Because life can show us some things sometimes, and as we go through life, we learn things, we discover things, and I tell you, it's really something to think about. And once we come through on the other side of the occurrence, whatever the occurrence is, then, oh man, you talking about a story to tell. My goodness. And I have heard many stories about people with, concerning dreams and premonitions and stuff. And oh man, when they tell you their stories, they will blow your mind. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Dreams, premonitions, and precognitions. And it's very important. Now, I want to ask you something, and that is, why should we pay close attention to our dreams, our premonitions, and the precognitions that if you have precognitive abilities? Now, everybody doesn't have that ability. Some people do, and some people don't. Now, there's a term that you may have heard that refers to those who have precognitive abilities, and that term is seers. They have the ability to sort of glimpse the future, and they can look down the road and see when there is something about to happen. Now, though most of us out here are not psychics, I would never proclaim myself to be a psychic. There are instances where a lot of us have been able to either see or feel that something is not right. Something is stirring in the atmosphere, and there is something on the brink that is about to happen. And we can't pinpoint what it is, but as we keep going and going, and we pay attention, and the closer the event comes, it's like the stronger that feeling is. And when it comes over us, it's like a stronghold. We can't shake it. And so that's pretty much what this is, and a lot of people are afraid of it. They're afraid because they don't know exactly what's approaching, and so that's what I've been thinking about. And since I've already had this experience on 2 different occasions, and that is the fulfillment of premonitions, and I've had dreams to come to pass as well. I want to discuss this because I feel that there may be somebody out there who can relate to what I'm talking about, because some of you may have had these same experiences. And so that's what we're going to talk about. What is a dream? A dream is, number one, a series of thoughts, images, and sensations occurring in a person's mind during sleep. I remember on an episode of Amen, when I was little, MC Hammer was guest starring on there. He played this preacher, and and he was trying to preach, and he asked the congregation, the members, what is a dream, or something like that. And he said something like, dreams are thoughts that you have when you're not even thinking, or something like that. He tripped me out. But he was right, though. That's exactly what they are. They are thoughts that we think when we're not even thinking. Because once we close our eyes and go to sleep at night, that is when we exit our conscious mind and we enter our subconscious mind. And it's actually the subconscious mind that determines how things will come about in our consciousness, in our conscious state, in other words, when we're awake, and when we're aware of what's going on around us. Our subconscious mind, it takes in all of this, and it can't tell, what's going on. So that's why we have to be careful what we feed our spirits and our minds, because that subconscious mind is a serious thing, and we definitely don't want to throw it out of whack. So that's the definition of a dream, or at least one of the definitions. the second definition I had is a cherished aspiration, ambition, or ideal. And that's what a lot of people have with regards to the future. But that's more on a conscious state. But the first definition would be centered around more of our subconscious state, subconsciousness. That's when it's like things are happening around us and we're unaware of it, and yet it's playing out. But sometimes even in our dream state, when we're asleep at night, we have somewhat of an ability to like, it's like watching television. We watching TV, we see what's on, whatever TV show or movie or whatever we're watching, or on YouTube watching videos and what have you. And we see what's going on. We hear what's being said, what they're doing and stuff. Well, that's the way our dreams are. And believe it or not, our dreams, they tell a lot about us. They can tell us about our past, things that we've experienced before. They can tell us about our present, what's happening in our life currently. And they can tell us about our future, what is to come, and the type of decisions that we need to make regarding our future. Whether we need to do this or don't do that, whether we need to go here or don't go there. Those are very important decisions that we have to make on a daily basis. But usually we're awake when we make those decisions. But our dreams offer us the ability to see how things might be, or what the result of our decisions could possibly be, depending on the decisions we make. So that's why it's very important to pay attention to the dreams that we have, because oftentimes they present to us a very important message. Now, with regards to premonitions, what is a premonition? And some of you may have had these before. Like I said, I've had a total of 4 in my life, and 2 of them have already come to pass. They were centered around family members. Matter of fact, all of my premonitions have been centered around family members. And now I can tell you about 2 of them, but the second 2 I'm not going to say anything about, because I have yet to see anything come to fruition. So I'm not going to tell you about those, but I can tell you about the first 2 in just a moment. But the definition of premonition is a strong feeling that something is about to happen, especially something unpleasant. And that's usually what a premonition entails, something unpleasant that lies ahead. And these premonitions serve as a warning, letting us know that we need to get ready for whatever this event or this occurrence is that's about to take place. And that way it won't catch us off guard when it does happen. Examples of premonitions are: she had a premonition of an impending car accident, and he had a premonition that he would be killed in a plane crash. People have had all kinds of premonitions about things. And I, for one, have had, like I said, 4 premonitions. 2 of them have already come to pass. One of them was fulfilled in 2008 with the passing of my grandmother. Now, in March of 2008, it was right after spring break, I was down at my grandmama's house, and she was sitting on the couch and I was sitting on the love seat. And her health was in serious decline. She was 90 years old at the time. And as she sat there, she went to tell me about this dream that she had. And she told me in great detail. And in this dream, she saw 4 women. And apparently, she was one of the women. As a matter of fact, she was, because she told me. It was her and 3 other women. They were walking together on this long road. And she told me that the further they walked, the brighter this light in front of them became. She said that there was this big old bright light in front of them up ahead down the road that they were walking on. And she told me that the further she and those 3 other ladies walked down that road, the brighter that light became. And when she told me that, now that was her dream that she had. When she told me all the details of that dream, I didn't say a word. But in my spirit, in my heart, I knew exactly what that dream meant. She didn't have to tell me anything else. I knew at that moment that what that dream was saying was that she was getting ready to go. She was getting ready to cross over. Her time was rapidly approaching. And so I had a premonition about that. And in the premonition, I saw 12 months. 12 months before, it would be within a 12-month time frame before my grandmother passed. Now, this was in March of 2008. So fast forward 12 months, that would have put her at March of 2009 by the time that I suspected she would depart from this world. Well, it was in November of that year, the very night that Obama was elected to his first term in office as the first Black president of the United States. My grandmama was in the hospital. And the night, right when they were about to declare Obama as the winner, as the new president of the United States, my grandmother closed her eyes. She left here at 90 years old. That premonition came to pass. And it was within a 12-month time frame. From March up until November was a period of 8 months. And I saw there being a 12-month time frame from the time she shared that dream with me up until the beginning of spring of 2009, the following year. So it was right there in that time frame that I saw. That was the fulfillment of premonition number 1. The fulfillment of premonition number 2 was regarding my biological father. You know, for most of my life, he wasn't around anyway. We finally got back on good terms in December of 2002. So for the next 15 years, we would have a fairly decent relationship. You know, I consider it to be a good relationship. However, in the spring of 2017, that's when things changed. And he fell out with me over a misunderstanding. And our relationship was broken from then on. And he only had 3 more years after that before he would transition. However, somewhere within that 3-year time frame, I had a premonition about him. all based on the way he lived his life. For those of you who are familiar with one that hit by the Temptations, called Papa Was a Rolling Stone, wherever he laid his hat was his home. Well, that described my father to a T. He lived his life pretty much close to the way the Temptations sung that song. And of course, that first line in the song, it was the 3rd of September, a day I always remember, because that was the day when my daddy died. Now, when my father passed 3 years ago, it wasn't on the 3rd of September, but instead it was on the 8th of September. But the key is, it was in September. So this premonition that I had about him within that 3-year span of time before he left here, I saw the month in which he would transition. I saw the decade in which he would transition, and I saw his age bracket in which he would transition. The month was September. The decade was this current decade, the 2020s. And the age bracket was his 70s. And to narrow it down a little further, in the premonition I had, I saw somewhere between his mid to late 70s when he would depart from this world. Mid to late 70s. So that would be anywhere between age 75 and 79, though I leaned towards 79. However, he made it to 75 and he left here. That was the fulfillment of premonition number 2. And everything played out exactly as I saw it, according to the way he lived his life, based on that song by the Temptations, Papa Was a Rolling Stone. As funny as that might be, it's the truth. And it happened just the way I saw it, in a time frame in which I saw it. And he was in the age bracket that I saw, in his mid to late 70s, but he was in his mid 70s. In the 2020s, it was 2020, and in the exact month that I saw, which was September. So, having witnessed 2 premonitions come to pass already, one with my grandmother and the other with my father, there is hardly any doubt that these next 2 premonitions that are impending could possibly play out the same way that the first 2 have. Like I said, I could be wrong. Like I thought I might have been wrong about the first 2, because my grandmother could have possibly lived past the 12-month time frame. My father could have lived past his 70s. You know, he could have made it to 80. And then that premonition wouldn't have been nothing, you know. But because everything happened just as I saw it on both occasions, that's how I knew that these premonitions were real and 100% accurate, because I experienced it. And experience is the best teacher. So again, I got 2 more premonitions that I'm keeping a close eye on, and I'm not going to say anything about them, and I'm not going to say who they're about. I'm going to have to wait a little while and see what happens up ahead. But rest assured that if and when these 2 premonitions come to pass, I will come back on and share them with you as well. Which leads me to my final little piece of discussion here. We're talking about precognitions. Now, what is a precognition? Precognition, which comes from the Latin word pre, which is spelled P-R-A-E, pronounced pray, and that means before. and cognitio, which is spelled Cognitio, and that means acquiring knowledge. A precognition is the purported psychic phenomenon of seeing or otherwise becoming directly aware of events in the future. That's a precognition. And so if you have precognitive abilities, regardless of where you are on your journey in life, no matter what your background or your history is, wherever you may be from, if you have this ability of precognition and you can see down the road into the future and you can know when something is about to happen, you ought to consider yourself blessed and know for a fact that you have a true gift. And it doesn't make you any more than anybody else. It doesn't, you don't let your ego rule your life. You don't think that you more than this person or that person and get the big head and all that kind of stuff. But instead, it humbles you because you know for a fact that you are chosen. And when you're chosen, man, that's a good feeling. But again, you've been put on this earth for a divine purpose, and you're here for a very important reason. And as they will say in church, you are anointed and appointed for such a time as this. So those are very important gifts. And that's the reason why we need to pay attention to things like this, because there are so many things happening in this world right now, all around us, locally, nationally, and internationally. And people all over the world are waking up. They are seeing that there is more than what we've been told, what we've been taught, what we've been indoctrinated with through religion and through education in school and through our parents and society at large. There is much more to this thing than that. And we are living in the age of knowledge. No longer is it about believing. Now we are in the age of knowing. It's time for us to know things, not just believe and go along with what we've been told all our lives. That time is past. That might have been all right back in the 1940s and 50s and 60s and 70s when I came along and the 80s and the 90s. But no, that's not going to fly in the 21st century, especially with access to all of this information at the click of a button at our fingertips. And you mean to tell me we're still going to walk around here and be ignorant? There's no reason for that. No, nobody should be ignorant in the 21st century. If it is, it's not by circumstance, but instead it's by choice. So that's all I have to say today regarding dreams, premonitions, and precognitions. And I hope that something has inspired you to do your research and begin to pay attention to the dreams that you have at night when you go to sleep. And if you have to, when you wake up, jot those dreams down. If you don't do anything, but just write down a few little notes describing what you saw and what you heard, what was said to you and what you may have said, what you experienced and how you felt when you woke up. And then in the daytime, if you're at work or at home or out and about, and you experience some sort of vision or premonition, you catch a glimpse of something that's about to happen, that could be something that you need to pay close attention to, because you don't know what lies ahead. And your very future depends on it. So, thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in to this episode, a very powerful episode, I might add, of TJ's Topics. I really enjoyed you. And please feel free to like and comment, subscribe, and share with anybody if you wish. And tell them as well that dreams, premonitions, and precognitions are real. And it's nothing to play with. No, pay very close attention. Because who knows, something that you see in a dream or premonition could very well save your life if you heed the warning and go in another direction. This is Taryn Jerome Harris, reminding you that every round absolutely goes higher and higher. And I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.